Hi and welcome back. Okay, you can see here I've finalised the spraying of the glare shield. Absolute nightmare of a job it was. If I was to have my time over again, I would have asked or paid someone to do it. So look, a couple of things was the problem. I had absolutely no idea what I was doing, and the end result, when I approached a professional painter friend of mine and told him what the result was, he had no idea why I was doing that. So what I was ending up with was prominent lines, as if you could see that I was mechanically following a path like this, whilst using a satin or a very low matte type of paint. Some would say, well, then you should blend in those lines by going back over those lines again, which I did. Those then became glossy whilst using a matte paint. So I ended up just letting it dry overnight for about 24 hours, and I thought I'm going to start again on this, and I'll go and get a different paint again. I'll get a flat paint or something like that. So I hit it with some 1200 grit and a bit of Scotch Brite, and it didn't actually look too bad. It sort of evened up all of the dull areas and took away the sheened areas, and I was going to leave it. An electrician friend of mine came over yesterday and dropped off some tools, and he said, oh, it's a bit bodgy. And of course, when someone says it's a bit bodgy, I'm going to start again. So long story short, I did the actual Canopy bow strap in a etched primer black, and it just came out perfect. So I spoke to the painter of mine, a friend of mine, and he said, spray your glare shield just with an etched primer again and see what it does. So I did, and it came out 90%, 95%. I'm happy with that. So there it is. All right, I have committed to putting in the fuel level sender now. Also too, so fuel level sender's in, everything is painted, I can now put the windshield in. A big thank you to John Jensen, who made a comment on my last posting on how he was concerned with the fuel filling of the Sonex B model, and there was no way of catching the fuel. So I responded to him and said, look, it's something I never even gave it a thought of, and just when I did that, Brian Cotton answered that posting and said, look, they do it in the Legacy, give it a bit of a go. So I'm just going to come over there and show you what I've made up, and you can be the judge. I've made up this little plastic catch can at the moment. It's not the finished product. Excuse me, I'm going to cough a second. I'll have this made out of stainless steel, welded, and with a bit of luck I'll get some fuel resistant polyurethane, which will then polyurethane this to the top of the nylon tank, and I'll seal around here, so anything does get caught in here, it'll come out another outlet on the front of that, which will then go through the firewall and down the front face. So I'll just bring this camera over here and we'll have a quick look. So even when this windshield is all complete, it sort of sits up like that somewhere. It will fit into here, and I'll just polyurethane it down. Then when I do the firewall, I'll have a hole cut through the front of the firewall, and my fuel vent line, or sorry, fuel overflow line will run down the face of the firewall and out through the bottom of the engine bay. So hopefully that fits all right. What I'll also do is, where the cutout is for the top of the glare shield, I'll run a rubber grommet of such, similar to the bit that goes on the front of the instrument panel, like it's a little sort of thing to stop you from cutting yourself an instrument panel around there, which will then help this fit in a lot tighter. And the amount of fuel that'll get down behind here then, or in from the glare shield on top of the tank, if it does spill over this, is absolutely minimal. So hopefully that gets the approval of all you guys that are watching. Yet to see if it works yet. Yeah, so I'll get on to now installing the windshield. I can do that. Now for the there's something quite enjoyable. I mean, it's enjoyable building an aeroplane, but there's something more enjoyable about doing something for the very last and final time. I think I've had this windshield on and off about 20 times, as most people have, and now I get to put it in spot for its final time. Enjoyable. Yeah, good morning. Just back down in the shed again this morning. Had a couple of days off through the week, so today's Saturday. I'm about just a little bit of a halfway point on putting the final MS screws inside the Canopy windscreen. A laborious job. I seem to recall Gavin having a little bit of a say on it, that it was really hard to do, but I probably managed to get to about here with my arm through, and here came in from the other side with some long nose pliers and eventually got it. And anyway, probably that last one there was the worst one. Around the canopy itself wasn't too bad, into the threaded part of the canopy bow. Scratched a bit of my paint, which is understandable, putting it in, but I can always touch that up. But pretty much happy with it. I can now, I'll do the other side this morning, put the screws on the other side this morning, and possibly look at doing some riveting. Maybe these AN525 bolts through here is going to be a pain in the ass job. I can come from underneath and put all those on, and eventually getting around to putting some fuel in this aeroplane. But I'm pretty much happy with what I've been doing to date. Just before I go, I was just reading a lovely little article. Just grab a book. Reading an article in here this morning, and I'm thinking, I recognise that aeroplane. There's an article in here by Brian Cotton. A little interesting read. Learnt some more about Brian and his father. So it's at the end of the book. There it is there. So well done, Brian. That's a beautiful article. If anyone gets these magazines, I'm sure you do have in America, but in Australia, not necessarily everyone gets these. It's a great read. Good bit of information. I am, just going with the flow this morning. I've got a couple of days before Monday, so Saturday to tomorrow I'll do some more work on the shed up the top. Nothing much has happened on the shed since my last posting. The only thing that I can tell you is that I've had the land. We've got some crazy rules in this country. I don't know what it's like in America or elsewhere, but before I can do anything, I've got to have this whole land certified that it's in the right, everything's in the right spot, so hence the survey. Someone was here for a day. I hate to think what that bill's going to cost, but it's going to be in excess of probably 1,500 Australian dollars. From that, I get that sent off to the architect, who's going to draw up the drawings of the shed on the block of land, and hopefully I'll be starting the process of a build in and around about 6 weeks. I don't know, because of council rules we've got over here. Anyway, I'll carry on this morning. Hope you enjoy. Welcome back. Just to close off for today, I have finally completed all of the MS screws around the canopy. I was sort of thinking that this side might be easier than the other side, and using my right hand to hold the nuts, it's a little bit easier to thimble and fumble and carry on with a small thimble. I don't even think that's a word, is it? Fumble, that'll do. With the nuts on here with your right hand. I'm right-handed. That side was just as hard. Anyway, they're both hard. So when everyone gets to doing the canopy, it's a nightmare. But it's all done. I have also started on the AN525 bolts. The AN525 bolts, there's 6 either side. A couple of them are going to be extremely hard to get the socket on or a spanner on, namely because you've got bolts going this way, bolts going this way. Some of them are in between these, so obviously it must be able to be done, but I'll have to get Yitka on the outside to put a Phillips head on here. I'll go on the inside with a shifter and a spanner and a socket set and see how I go, but it's going to be an absolute nightmare. Once this is secured, I believe I can then, well, I'll go backwards. Once this is bolted and secured, I believe it's in a better position to load up the fuel tank with fuel. and I was always apprehensive just in case it spread. I don't think it will, but better to be on the air of caution, I guess. So I will get on to doing, after I complete the AN525 bolts either side of this, it allows me to rivet off completely either side. Let's move over to the canopy for a moment. Just back over here at the canopy, I have worked on the locating pins for the canopy here. These are just threaded into this long rod across here, and I believe that a lot of people have had to replace these at some stage because the thread gives way. I have threaded into it as well, but I'm also going to be putting a stainless steel nut on the top of this, so I believe the pins, including the nut on top, should give it a bit more durability. So Peter Anson Engineering canopy frame works absolutely beautiful. It locks in for your taxi, so there's a little taxi position, locks in beautifully for locking. So that's about it for today. I'm pretty happy. Just on the painting, you'll see that I've painted the front bow. I'm going to be painting this black, the back black. I'm going to be leaving all of this raw. I just think this really does look nice. It's a nice bit of engineering, and if I was to analyse it in one word, I think it looks pretty. It's not the right word to use, I know, but I think it does look very, very nice. So I'm going to choose the word pretty. So why paint over something that looks really pretty? Anyway, it's a terrible word, but anyway, I've used it. So I'm going to have my beer now, close off for today, do some little bit more work on the aeroplane tomorrow. Maybe 10, 15 minutes worth of work, and see how I go. If I do well with those AN525 bolts, well, maybe it'll take about an hour or something like that. But that'll close off this video. I'll post it through the week and talk with you all soon. Monday here today, this morning, last day before the back to work again tomorrow. I had Yitka in this morning to give me a hand doing the either side AN525 bolts. This top one here, which I've called number 1, so 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 and 6, was the worst in the world to get to. There's got to be a thought given, I guess, to a design change or something like that, or unless there's a sequence that I'm not doing it correctly, there's no way. I had to use long nose pliers and God knows what, but got there in the end. Pain in the ass job. What's different about the Sonex this morning is I have an engine mount on. I've ended up just putting the bolts through this morning. I'm going to tighten it up and can use my brand new inch-pounds torque wrench that I bought for doing the part of the engine, well, all of the engine installation. I bought 3 new torque wrenches. I have a small Newton meter one, a very small one for doing AN3 bolts. The AN5s requires inch-pounds. I think it's about 100 to 120 or 150 or something along those lines. And just one of the tools that I bought all the recommended torque wrenches that Sonex said. Bought the Big Daddy, the big whatever that one is. One bigger than this, but up to about 80 foot-pounds I think it is. And this one's 200 to 200 inch-pounds. So I'll go ahead and tighten these up, and hopefully it'll work out good. Okay, mounted the engine mount, torqued all the AN5 bolts up. Just throwing these little protection things on the end here because my head has the best ability in the world to find anything that's sticking out, hence the scratches and God knows what I've got. When I was doing these AN525 bolts in here yesterday and today, I hit my head 1,000 times on the fuel flow sender. So anyway, now just before I close off, I'm going to do a little bit of a pan around with the camera just to have a closer look at some areas that otherwise it's a little bit hard to see from a mounted camera on a tripod.